Good afternoon, Dynasty enthusiasts. Welcome in to this stream on what day of the week is it? Thursday afternoon, Thursday, August 21st. NFL action coming up crazy soon, actually. We've got some people already here and ready to go. Some questions about how to join the mock draft. That's very simple. I will be posting a link to the sleeper mock draft in the chat. And if you have slow internet, I apologize. You're probably not going to get a spot. But yeah, I'm just going to post the link. First come, first serve. You can jump in and grab a spot. And hopefully, you know, the spot that you want. We will get the mock draft started here in a few minutes. It's going to be 30-second clock. Try not to join if you don't think you can stay for the whole thing and you don't intend to be locked in making all your picks. We have plenty of people that can draft, so if you're not sure if you're going to be here for the whole draft, it'll probably take like at least 45 minutes. Just let somebody else do it. Carter was in the chat first. There's an emoji for there's an emote for this now. I did not create that or add that because I'm a total narcissist. I was specifically asked to make merchandise with that on it, and I didn't go right to merchandise. I thought maybe an emoji would be a good middle ground for now, but that was requested by Pure Potential members. So feel free, go crazy. We had a question here from Cade though. What would you sell JCM for? That really is the question, isn't it? Right now, that is the question of the hour. It's hard to say. It is. I'm planning to address this in a video soon. We're going to do kind of risers and fallers through the preseason, some of the big situations that have really changed. But I think right now, he's right on that sort of second round tipping point. I think it would be fine to sell him for a second. I think it would be fine to hold him for a second. You know, it's exciting that he scored in preseason, and it's exciting that they're talking about trading Brian Robinson. At the end of the day, this guy is a 24-year-old rookie running back who went in the 7th round and doesn't really have a lot of pass catching background. Even if B-Rob is moved, which I think it's likely he's not on the team, either he's traded or he's cut, they still have Chris Rodriguez, who will do something with the team, I think. And then they also have Austin Eckler, which is the bigger problem in my eyes, in the sense that he is going to be playing all the third downs. He's going to get the majority of the schemed backfield stuff. And they have Deebo Samuel too, who can do a lot of that. So I'm not sure how high the realistic ceiling is, as fun as it is to talk about the big, beautiful bill in Washington. So I think selling him for a second is fine. Look, I've said it before and I've been wrong before. I just don't really see how he's ever going to be worth a first round pick. And so it's like, you know, I'm kind of fine taking a penny I picked up off the street and turning it into a future second personally. But anyway, that's the idea. We are going to mostly just do the mock here, and I'm not going to answer a ton of questions, maybe some during the draft when I am in between picks. But I am planning, my next video is going to be, like I said, kind of a recap of the preseason and things that have changed, because I've addressed a bunch of team situations throughout the offseason that are now different. Like when I talked about Ricky Pearsall a few weeks ago and that I was lower on him, Juwan Jennings wasn't hurt yet. We didn't get the bad news on Ayuk that he's going to be out for at least 6 games or whatever. And so there are some moving pieces with some of these situations where we need to update priors. Like I am higher on Pearsall now than I was when I made that video, because like simply every other wide receiver on the 49ers is injured. And I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's good enough to capitalize on opportunity if it's going to be dropped in his lap. So there are situations that need updating. That being said, if there's something that you'd like me to talk about, some relevant piece of news, some changing situations, whether it's backfields, whether it's quarterback competitions, whatever it might be, let me know. And I will try to make a note of that and see if it's something that I can address in a more like organized and data driven and logical way than just throwing out takes here in the middle of the live stream. So anyway, let's see here. Sorry guys, chat is kind of going crazy, so I'm struggling to address a lot of it. I do see some members here. Winslow is here, and hopefully he got my instructions about the draft. We got Ryan Hostetler with hitting with the hard hitting questions, JCM or Bijan. You know, who's to say? It's tough. It's a real coin toss. Nico is here. Kevin is here. Carter, I already shouted out earlier. Random Nacho is here. Great name. Maybe a new member. Happen is here. What's going on, fellas? Well, we're going to do a mock draft. So let's go over to the mock draft view. And guys, show some love for the new overlays. All right. I put in some work matching up with the new branding. I'm pretty excited about the new branding. I'm not going to lie. It was in the works for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link here in the chat in a minute. You want to be ready to click that, and you can jump in and grab a spot. I'm going to be drafting out of the 11 here. Did the last couple from the front part of the draft, so we're going to go to the back part. Just keep in mind, this is a 12 team start 10. I guess that part doesn't really matter too much. Superflex, PPR, tight end premium, and this is a 3rd round reversal draft. I still say that's the correct way to do it. The last one we did was not 3rd round reversal, so we are doing 3rd round reversal today. But just keep that in mind if you get in and you are picking a draft slot. So I'm throwing the link in here. If you're watching the stream right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that now. We are, first of all, pushing towards 10,000. Don't you want to help me get to 10,000 subscribers? I'd love to get there before kickoff. I think it's a bit of a long shot, but you never know. We need about 700 more in the next 2 weeks. And more importantly, I've got content coming out each and every week. I'm going to try to do more live content during the season so that we can stay up to date on situations that are changing. But also, the regular videos coming out every week to react to buys and sells, changing situations, and all that good stuff. We've got this mock draft filled up here. Again, if you didn't get in, I apologize. Try getting better Wi-Fi. And if you want more opportunities to do mock drafts, you can always become a YouTube member. We did a startup mock draft with just the members the other week. I'm happy to do more of those if we get more members asking for that. But the other member perks listed over here on the side of the screen, you get access to the private Discord chat where, to be honest with you, I am constantly distracted and not getting work done when I should be. I've got weekly live streams that I do where we talk about rankings updates. We talk about, news that I can't cover in regular videos. We do mock drafts, all that stuff. And then the Dynasty rankings, which are updated bi-weekly, soon to be every week during the season. I think it's a good resource to kind of be a bit of a guide for you in creating trade offers. All right. I only see for sure one member. I see Nico made it in. Oh, Happen is in. So a couple members in. Yeah, it's always frustrating when members get into these because they have all my rankings and they take all the players I want. But you know what? That's totally fine. It's not about me. It's also not a real league, so I'm not going to be up in arms about it. We are going to go ahead and start this mock draft. I made this one a little bit longer. It's going to go 18 rounds instead of our usual 15, so we can get some of those deep sleepers, maybe some players who have been relevant in training camp and preseason. So we'll see where it goes. We're starting the mock draft. J Pre85, you are on the clock here. You've got 30 seconds, and you have made your pick. Josh Allen 101. Austin, what's up? What is up, my dude? One of my league winners, one of our best and brightest young members in the Discord. You have been acknowledged. Glad you could make it to the stream. I'm juggling a lot right now. I see you and I appreciate you. Logan Crenshaw makes the correct pick here with Jaden Daniels. I think we're going to see a lot of changes in this draft from the last time we did this exercise, which was, I think, like mid-July. I don't think we'll see a ton of those changes right at the top of the draft, but certainly as we go further down the board. And to be honest with you, I should have been running more of these mock drafts since it's just so easy to do. Like, it doesn't take a lot of prep for me to do this. I don't know why I wasn't running more of these. It's been a busy summer, but you guys have made my life very easy here at the 111. I'm going to be taking Brock Bowers. I do not care that Michael Mayer played some snaps in a preseason game. Brock Bowers is he is that dude. So we got Chase, Jefferson, we got Burrow, Hurts, we got Bijan, Gibbs. I still can't I can't wrap my head around taking the running backs that early in startups personally. I know they're really good players. And then I'm going to go with Puka Nacua. So this is a great start for me. I would have been happy with Brian Thomas there, but I'll go Puka. You know, Matt Stafford seems cautiously optimistic about his health. I think Puka's got legit wide receiver 1 overall type upside. Pairing him with Bowers is just a perfect way to start a draft, I think. We've got a Bijan London stack. We've got a Gibbs Amon-Ra stack, little Falcons Lions pairing there. I love the Neighbors Thomas start for sure. Nico with Hurts. And a little 2 quarterback start. We don't get a lot of those 2 quarterback starts these days, especially in the mock drafts. I feel like everybody's always pushing quarterbacks. But he's got some respect for Patrick Mahomes. You guys are talking about weekly mock drafts in the season. I mean, are we really doing startup mock drafts in season? I feel like that's a little bit weird and chaotic. Probably not going to do that weekly. I think we've probably got more pressing things to do than startup mock drafts at the time of year when nobody's doing startups. But I would like to be doing more live streams. Ideally weekly, we'll see. And I'm going to be up here again in a minute. We've got McBride, May, McConkey, Harrison. Cannot get on board with Marvin Harrison in round 2 personally. I just really struggle with that. I do like the McBride pick. I like May. I like McConkey. We got JSN here in the end of the second round. Big on the wide receivers, this group, huh? Big on the wide receivers. I like a lot of these names that are on the board here. I could go quarterback. I don't think that I'm going to. Although my highest ranked player here is a quarterback, and I don't have one yet, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll go quarterback here. Yeah, okay. The other player I was looking at was Amarian Hampton. So I'm going to go ahead and push. I will push running backs, and I'm just going to take an underrated NFL quarterback in Justin Herbert. You know, big change in his situation from last year. He goes from having just Ladd to bringing back Keenan Allen for whatever that's worth. Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith coming on a little bit. You know, I like Oronde Gadsden as a late round tight end. And then obviously Hampton as a weapon out of the backfield. I think he's a more capable receiver than J.K. Dobbins was. So, you know, it's a good combination of things. I don't love the Rashawn Slater injury, obviously, but I do not buy into the idea that the Chargers want to be a super duper run heavy team. I don't think there's actually any proof of that. It's just people pattern matching what Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh have done in other situations with worse quarterbacks. But yeah, I like Herbert. You know, I think maybe Caleb Williams, maybe Bo Nix, maybe they might have a higher absolute ceiling, although I'm not sure about that. They do run a little bit more, but we have so much confidence in the floor of Justin Herbert. Whereas like Caleb Williams, like we have no idea really. We really don't know yet whether he's actually good enough to hack it in this league. And to be clear, I don't have him far behind Herbert. It's just a slight preference to me. I'm going to take the floor. I absolutely love the values on McMillan and Hunter here. Jefferson, McBride, McMillan is an amazing start. Chase, May, Hunter. also an amazing start. There's the inevitable rise of Trevion Henderson into the third round. I think that's where he should be. That's where I have him ranked, I think, right on that 3-4 turn. I kind of overlooked the Bucky Irving pick. Bucky over Barkley. I respect it. I'm a big Bucky Irving fan. I feel like I might actually want to rank him higher than I already have, but yeah, a lot of interesting teams taking shape here, for sure. Laporta is probably the first pick that I'd say is like a dramatic reach based on my rankings. Like Kyron as well. Just not my favorite players. Stroud in round 4 is pretty nice. Stroud in round 4 is very nice. I'm looking to hear what's going to come back to me. There's a lot of quarterbacks I'd be fine with picking here as my second. Not a lot of skill players that I'm in love with at this point, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Igbuka would have been the one guy that I would have really been okay with. And I love seeing Igbuka going ahead of a certain year 2 wide receiver that I will not name. It's allegedly going to be his team's wide receiver 1. Then we get T. Higgins. Igbuka versus Higgins. I think it's a real conversation. I still think I defer to T. Higgins. Like, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves with the Igbuka love. He still has to get on the field and do it. There goes Rome Odunze. There goes Brock Purdy. Yeah, I mean, not a ton of quarterbacks left. I've got like Kyler and Lawrence like back to back here. I don't have either of the Jaguars' weapons. I'm just going to take Kyler in this particular draft to pair with Herbert. And then I've got another pick coming around the corner here. And then we can talk about other guys. Let's see here. This is tough. Baker goes off the board. I wish this was going to be an easy Breece Hall pick for me, but unfortunately, that is not the hand that I've been dealt, because Breece Hall he's in a rough spot right now. I want to believe in the talent. I do believe in the talent. I don't believe in this deployment that the coaching staff is talking about. Could be pretty gross. So I think I'm going to go a different direction. I don't know, man. I don't know. Cam Ward, probably my highest ranked player here. I'm not taking a third quarterback. It'd be Breece, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey for me. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey. Here's my thought process here, and I'll get back to some of the comments and questions. I'll take Christian McCaffrey here. My thought is yes. Does he have higher risk than Jonathan Taylor? Is he older than Breece Hall? Yes. But what I also have here is a pretty safe floor with Bowers, with Puka, with Herbert. Like, I went Herbert because I think he's got a higher value floor than Caleb Williams does. And so a lot of safety in these first 3 picks. I'm willing to take a big swing with this team, because what adding McCaffrey does is, okay, if he's healthy, I've got potentially the tight end 1, got probably a top 3 or 4 wide receiver. I might have the RB1 or top 2 or 3 running back. This gives me a much better chance in year 1. And it's, the other options I was looking at, none of them felt rock solid to me. I still think that I wouldn't call it risk with Taylor necessarily, but just I think that there's a possibility that we don't get a real difference-making season from him. I think the offense could be pretty bad in Indianapolis. He doesn't catch passes. But yeah, Dale asked a question, who do you prefer between Hunter and Tet? I really don't have an answer for this. I have them back to back. I consider switching them every time I look. I have Tet one spot ahead of Hunter in my rankings. I would say that I really don't have a preference. If I was in a position to draft both of them, or like if I was in the position to draft between them, I would probably just alternate from one draft to the next. I would take Tet and then I would take Hunter. You look at their redraft ADPs, like best ball ADPs, McMillan has the clear edge, but I think that might just be the market being too scared of some of the defensive back stuff. Recent comment was like, they want to play Hunter full-time on offense and then ease him in on defense. Like that's sort of been the company line since he was drafted. So I think most of the concerns about Hunter are overblown. I think he's a very good player, but I do have McMillan just ahead because I just feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable recommending him to, members when it's just a more straightforward path. Am I out on Kenneth Walker in the 5th? I'd rather draft him in the 6th. I don't know. I have him in that range. Like I have Walker right next to Chase Brown. I have him ahead of James Cook. I have him ahead of Josh Jacobs. So no, I mean, I'm not terribly, I think late 5th is reasonable. Medusa says Kyren with a contract moves him up a lot, I would think. It moved him up. I moved him up in my ranks. And to be fair, I probably had him too low. I don't think that the contract fixes most of the problems that I have with Kyren, which is 1, that he doesn't catch passes, 2, that he never generates explosive plays. Those two things together mean that he has to monopolize a ridiculous percentage of the backfield work in order to give us that high ceiling, the ceiling that we've seen from him, which still, even the ceiling we've seen from him in the past 2 years, is not really like a league winning type of ceiling. It's not like when you draft a Barkley, a Bijan, a Gibbs, like 20 points per game is in the range of outcomes. I don't think 20 points per game is in the range of outcomes for Kyren Williams. And even when he's getting all of the touches, it's still not really possible because he's not catching enough passes. He's not ripping off long runs. He's just getting you 4 yards at a time and he's getting 20 carries and usually he falls in the end zone. He strikes me as a fairly low ceiling, fairly high floor option at running back, which is just not something I'm chasing. And I still think that there is some risk that even though he got the contract, they could still like what they're seeing from Jarquez Hunter. There's been a lot of positive comments. If he just gets like 2 drives a game, that matters for Kyren's ceiling because, again, he is such a volume-based play. But I'm coming up here in a second. RJ Harvey's off the board. Kenneth Walker's off the board. Would have loved to add one of those guys along with my other options, but there's some players I really like here. In fact, there's one guy I'd love to get. Yeah. I'm not really looking too closely at the board, but I'm going to go ahead and lock in George Pickens, who have really, really been rising on. I love that I can get him as my wide receiver too. And I know exactly who I want on the way back if he survives another pick. Couple questions here. More than a couple questions here. Rice at 401, where's the discount? Yeah, I don't know how much discount you're going to get on Rashee Rice in Dynasty. I think it makes more sense to get a discount in seasonal. He's already been discounted in Dynasty under the expectation that he was going to miss some of this year. I think it's still the most likely outcome he gets 5 or 6 games in the middle of the season. I think it's still the most likely outcome that he plays in the fantasy playoffs. I'm going to take Chris Olave here at 702. Could have taken him or Zay Flowers. I have a slight nod or slight lean to Chris Olave. Waddle's also an option there too, for sure. I have them all pretty close together. Yeah, I mean, I might have taken... I don't know if there's anybody left I would have taken over Rice other than quarterbacks. I wouldn't have taken Kyren or Laporta or Igbuka or Higgins over him. So, I don't know. I think that's a fine spot. Kevin says, where are you on Caleb? I don't hear good things. I'm considering moving him. I mean, he certainly played a lot better in the second preseason game than the first one, at least in my opinion. And I know Hayden Winks and Josh Norris on Underdog were talking about it too. I think he's a good, ultimately, I think he's a good rusher, and I think he's going to be successful in that role. But I don't think he's going to be the starter at the beginning of the year. I don't think Warren is going to surrender any of the pass blocking, long down and distance, 2-minute drill stuff at all the whole season because he's great at that. Rodgers is going to want someone he can trust in there. Caleb hasn't been very strong with that. So I'm kind of right where I've been the whole time. I think he was a fine pick in the early second once Luther Burden and Jackson Dart were off the board. And I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he has a very high ceiling this year. Maybe if he can force his way into more work down the stretch, that next year he can take on a larger role. But yeah, I mean, just generally got him a little bit behind the market on. Alex says, got offered Chase Brown and a 26 first for Achane and a 26 second. I would just take Chase Brown personally. I think that's a totally reasonable tear down. I don't think they project that far apart in redraft, and you're getting some value security in that first. I like that move. Austin said, after week 3, it's good to see how much has changed by doing a startup. Yeah, I could totally see doing 1 or 2 startup mock drafts throughout the season as a little bit of a market pulse thing. I was just saying it doesn't need to be a regular occurrence. Checking back in on our draft here. The 7th round, we got Adams going pretty early in the 7th round ahead of some guys that I'm pretty surprised to see him going ahead of Zay Flowers, ahead of Pearsall, ahead of Penix. Penix is a crazy value at 707. I have Penix ranked ahead of Jared Goff, right next to Dak Prescott. That's kind of a crazy fall for Penix. I understand why Happen felt the need to pull the trigger there, even though he has 2 quarterbacks. I think that was the right play for sure. Nico is going with the tight end heavy build here. Not sure what that's about. I guess just trying to play the values on the board. Really, really love the Colston Loveland at 603 value. I think that's a great pick. I still have Loveland ahead of Warren, but I do like Warren. I like what we've seen from him so far. It's good for him that Daniel Jones has been named the starter, I think. Question from Liam, should I send an early to mid 27 first and a late first for Harvey and Igbuka? Are we saying these are both 27 first? Because I don't think you can be that confident that a 27 first is late right now. I'm a contender. Just scored the 27. I mean, the fact that you got a mid to early 27 first for Bo Nix in a 1 quarterback league, especially a 10 team 1 quarterback league, tells me that you're playing with people who have no idea what they're doing. So you probably can just go and trade for those players, and then you can probably get picks later another way. I think it's fine value wise. Like I think in 1 quarterback, those picks are a little bit less valuable anyway. So I don't hate it. I think it's a fine move. Okay. It's coming back towards me. This is usually the part of the draft where I completely lose track of what's going on because the sleeper ADP is so far diverged from real life. But I see some players I like. Several players I like. I really would have loved to get Burden or Higgins to come back to me here. Eighth round. Tyreek Hill comes off the board. It's a reasonable enough spot. I don't like the vibes around Hill, but it's a reasonable enough spot to take him. There goes Evans. I was hoping I might get Evans here. Evans or Hill, but I get neither. All right. I've been surprised by the discipline in the room here for the most part. We've got Tua goes at a reasonable spot. Bryce Young goes in a reasonable spot. Josh Downs goes at the 805. That's a ball knower pick for sure. Big Dog Berg timed out. Got the auto pick on Alvin Kamara. There goes Cam Scattaboo. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go ahead and just grab my third quarterback here. There's nobody I feel super strongly about. Now, depending on the team build, I might have gone with Justin Fields here. I'm going to actually go with Jackson Dart because I already have my solidified starters in Kyler and Herbert. So, like, I don't need to swing for the upside on Fields. And making a bit of a more value insulated pick helps to balance out the Christian McCaffrey selection, I think. But totally reasonable spot to take Fields there at the 8-12. Got no issue with that. This is where I kind of feel like I need to pull up my rankings. Just kind of see what's going on. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, is Matthew Golden still here? He went like super early. Okay. Pacheco goes off the board. I'm back up again. I could go Njoku here. I'm not going to go Njoku here because I have a tight end one. I'm going to go more of a value upside play again. And I'll take Tucker Kraft. It's a tight end premium league. I can flex him if I need to. Trey Harris is a reasonable pick. I don't love what I'm seeing with him, but so is the draft capital. Lucio asks, how come Chase Brown went in just in round 5? One of the best situations for running back. Late boxes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, I'm very high on Chase Brown as a seasonal asset. I think Chase Brown is just a better version of Kyron Williams in the sense that we're talking about I guess with Kyron, he has some sort of job security now with the contract. But yeah, I think with Chase Brown, it's just a long-term concern. Like, people still need to see it on the field to be convinced of the talent. And there's always going to be that risk of the rug pull as long as he is a day 3 back on a day 3 salary. And I think that's the simple fact. I think the 5th round, I mean, McCaffrey and Taylor and Hall all went in the 5th round. Like, I don't think it's crazy that Chase Brown goes in the 5th round either. But yeah, hard to argue the situation. Certainly it's a good situation. I like him as a 2-3 turn pick in redraft. I'd still prefer Achane for this year. I'd still prefer Bucky for this year, just slightly. Would anyone trade an early 26 and mid 26 for Puka? Yes, I would do that for sure. Dynasty Dave, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. Waddle and a late 26 first for Rice. I think that's a little bit much right now to pay. I think you could aim a little bit higher with that package. Kendrenos, does Warren see a bell cow type of role at the start of the season while Caleb gets ramped up? I don't think Jalen Warren's ever going to be a bell cow, personally. I think he could be the starter, but no, I don't think he's going to be a bell cow. I think he'll be usable. Like, I think you could flex Jalen Warren week 1, and that's probably fine. But I think Caleb will have some role for sure from the jump. And I see the super chat here, Liam. I will absolutely get to that in a second. Appreciate you. Let me just make these 2 picks here on this turn, and then when we're headed back the other way, I am all yours. Love the Byshel Tootin pick. I really thought maybe he would fall a bit more just because we haven't gotten a lot of positive news necessarily with him, but good for Nico. I guess I should have known it was Nico. Took Njoku, took Tootin. I'm going to start banning members from these. There goes Pollard. Okay. So let me see what's going on here. We got a few wide receivers I really like, actually, that I could pick. Still just have the one running back, and you guys have kind of cleaned out the position. I would have gladly taken Pollard here. He's gone. Ridley was a good pick as well. Look, you guys know I love Jawan Jennings, but right now he's not healthy. Michael Pittman is healthy, and Daniel Jones is his quarterback, and Josh Downs has a hamstring injury. So I'm going to take Michael Pittman here. Just sort of a super steady pick I can make at this point. And then I'm thinking maybe we get a little fun here. I could go Jalen Warren with my next pick if he is not taken, but I don't think I'm going to. Let's take Sure, why not? This is about the ceiling of where I think it's reasonable to take Bill Krosky Merritt, but I didn't want to let anybody else do it, so I'm going to do it. All right, Liam. Thank you for the super chat again. I'm a contender, received a 27 early to mid first. Okay. Oh, I just answered this. I appreciate the donation though. Should I send that pick and my late 27 first for Igbuka? Yeah, so my take here is just, I think value-wise, it's a reasonable deal. But I think what you're getting here with these two rookies is they both are guys that have a chance to gain value early in the season, whereas you're going to be waiting a little bit on those picks. And also this trade that somebody sent you that pick for Bo Nix, it signals to me that maybe this isn't like the sharpest league of all time, and maybe they're a little bit loose with their rookie picks. And so I think you can play into that a bit and say, like, I can take a big swing now on these prospects that might double in value, by the time those picks come about. And you can probably go out and find other ways to get picks, just based on this move that I've seen here. So that would be, I would say take it. I would say go ahead and feel comfortable rolling the dice on the players. I like both of them. And kind of treat, that one pick as like free money you picked up off the street. Cause like Bo Nix in a 10-team one quarterback league he shouldn't be worth anything close to a first. So I hope that's the answer you were looking for. Appreciate you again. And for approving of my Kyler and CMC picks here. Points Bonanza at very cheap prices. I think it's I think it's a pretty normal price for Christian McCaffrey, just given the injury history and the age there. But certainly a pick I was happy to make given the layout of my team. Wow. Okay, we've got a lot of chats going on here. I love the Milrow pick. I love I love a lot of the picks in this round. I think Milrow, Jennings, Warren, Diggs, all solid values. I understand the Chris Godwin pick. I just really struggle to do it right now with the bad. Just it seems like a steady stream of bad news, right, about his injury. Mark asked, "What's your thoughts on offloading Brian Thomas for CD, or maybe a bit of a down tier?" I mean, I have CD ranked ahead of Brian Thomas, so I would take CD for sure. I don't really I don't have any interest in tearing down from Brian Thomas. I don't think there's any reason to do that. I'm very, very high on him. So, yeah, I would take Lamb. I wouldn't really feel the need to move him otherwise. What's the thought on Burden? It feels like he's rising despite camp news he's not starting. Yeah, because it's not important that he's not starting. He's a rookie wide receiver on a team that had some established weapons. What's important is that he's made good plays in preseason. He's showing effort on blocking plays. That Ben Johnson has had more good things than bad things to say about him recently. Right now, we should just be banking on the prospect. So the fact that he hasn't done anything to get himself in the doghouse, or we haven't heard negative things about his work in practice. We've only heard good stuff. That's all we really need. The thesis of Luther Burden was never that he was going to be the wide receiver one from game one. And anybody that thinks Olamide Zaccheaus is a legitimate obstacle to Luther Burden hitting a ceiling did not understand the thesis of the play from the beginning. Just say you didn't like Luther Burden, right? Olamide Zaccheaus is not a legitimate obstacle to any talented player. All right, we're coming back around to my pick. That was really fast. You guys have been zooming through here. Someone fell for the Marvin Mims bait. I see. I can't get on board with Marvin Mims. I like the value on Mooney falling a bit. I love the Dylan Sampson pick. I almost took him over JCM. I just had to do it for the bit. Okay, hold on a second. I'm struggling. Who is even available right now? Oh my goodness. I don't want Travis Etienne. All right. I'm about to make a pick I don't want to make, but I just totally lost track of this queue here. That's a bit higher than I have Shaheed ranked. Not crazy. There's probably 4 or 5 guys I could have taken, and I got a little bit of paralysis by analysis here. Let me see who I can find quickly. Take your time here, Mr. Ghost King. Benson's gone. B-Rob's gone. Spears is gone. Oh my gosh. Trying to catch up here with the queue. Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. I think at this point, I'm willing to take Jack Besh. I don't care how bad the vibes are. I don't care that he's not a starter yet. I'm just going to do it. Austin, it's almost like he has access to some crazy good Dynasty rankings or something. T-Hum, welcome in. Dude, you have the I gotta change the icons for the members. You have the 1 year of membership icon. That's pretty elite, dude. You're the first person I've seen with that. Oh, Matthew, thanks for signing up, dude. Welcome to the Superstars. You can now see the rankings that Nico is using to construct this absolute monster of a Dynasty team. Welcome in. W in the chat. All right, guys. I know I've missed some stuff. Apologize. Here's a question from N4. Full 1.0 tight end premium. Penix plus Genty or Bowers. I think Bowers has like maybe an argument for 101 overall in full point tight end premium. So I would take him here, but it's a pretty reasonable trade. Yo, Will, what's up, dude? Will Sanders, Dynasty Daddy legend. I jumped on the stream with him. It was over a month ago at this point, but yeah, he's doing some good stuff over at Dynasty Daddy. You guys should check it out. Marco, glad you can make it to the stream. I'm actually just about gonna have to scroll down here to catch the last few rounds. We've got Braylon, Bigsby, Cup, Fannin. These are some guys I like. Torrey Horton. That's a little early for Horton, but I appreciate the boldness. There we go. All right, we're coming back around in the 14th. We've got 5 rounds to go. And we're starting to see rookies come off the board quickly. I think that's how you want to play these later rounds. Oh, there's somebody I really hope makes it back to me that I'm very excited about. We'll see. Ollie Gordon, capitalizing on the recent news of the Jalen Wright injury. We don't really know anything, at least unless we got more news about the severity, but he did limp off with an injury. Certainly worth scooping up Ollie Gordon if you can. If you're in a shallower league where he's on waivers for some reason, you need to get him on your team because he's looked good. He's going to have opportunities. I need running backs bad. I think I just need to just straight up toggle over to running backs and just take them because at this point, There are some wide receivers that I could throw a dart on, but they're not going to make nearly as much of an impact for me as some early season running back production. And I mean, there's a few guys here that I could go for sure. I don't mind designing a team like this. Oh, that was the one wide receiver I wanted. It is really Jalen Coker season, guys. I don't think you understand. All right, I'll start with a boring pick. I can play Ramondre Stevenson early in the year. He's going to get some touches. As much as I love Travion Henderson, he's going to be involved. So, if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt isn't like full go from the jump, I think that's a pretty reasonable guy to grab. And then I've got 3 running backs that I have like back to back to back. Actually, literally have them all in a row. So I guess it doesn't really matter which one I take. But I'll go Ray Davis here. Could have gone Shipley, could have gone Algier. I think they're all reasonable. Henry. What? Oh, it was something in the chat. Yeah, Marco. No, I recognize your handle. But yes, I'm glad you were able to make it to the stream. Krengus McBasketball. Henderson seems low here. I think the general consensus has him over Hampton at this point. I don't think so. If they do, I still have Hampton ahead. I love Henderson, but I think it's crazy to just ignore the difference in the draft capital, the difference in the college workload, the difference, frankly, in the projected production of the offense, the difference in competition. I think Hampton is still firmly ahead of Henderson. And I don't know. I'd be willing to bet that that's still consensus. I don't think you're getting a lot of Hampton for Henderson straight up trades going down. Chris Miles is here. Fun fact, Chris and I, one of my IRL buddies here, did meet him through the fantasy space, but we've since graduated to real life friends. We will be drafting an FFPC redraft team in the big gorilla contest. Some high stakes redraft. Maybe I'll share that in the Discord with the members. I'll keep them posted on how the draft is going. Maybe I'll stream it. I don't know. But he's here just in time to see the last few rounds of this draft. Round 15, probably late enough for Anthony Richardson to be worth a swing. I kind of forgot about him, to be honest. I had toggled away from quarterback. I like the Shipley pick. I like the Algier pick. I'm not sure what you mean by this, to be honest. JCM is half his running back room through 13 rounds. That's right where I want to be. That is right where I want to be. I'm living the dream right now. I've got 6 wide receivers. I've got 4 running backs. I've got 3 quarterbacks. I've got Bowers and Tucker Kraft. I think I am. I think I hit the sweet spot with this one, but I do need to line up my next couple of picks here. We've got tight ends coming off the board. Sneaky little Spencer Rattler pick. Don't mind that at all. And you know what? I'm going to have the chance to add a couple more running backs I really like on the way back here. I'm not going to take him because he doesn't really fit what I'm trying to do here. But some of you guys that are light at wide receiver, I don't know why you're not taking Christian Kirk. I think he's a pretty clear pick at this point in the draft. Again, not for me, because I have more than enough wide receivers, but I think for someone, he could be a good pick. I'm going to go Kyle Monangai here. He might just be the running back 2 for the Bears, unless they trade for Brian Robinson. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And there are some other fun running back picks I could take here. I'm actually going to go with a nice boring pick, another early season option I can use, and someone who just genuinely might have more value all season than we're willing to let on. I'm going to take Austin Eckler. Round 17 pick. There's no guarantee that JCM just absorbs all of Brian Robinson's touches. Like, Eckler could have a nice little satellite back plus role here where he catches 60 passes and also, runs in a few touchdowns. Maybe he gets 120 carries. Like, once upon a time, Eckler was a great running back. It's not impossible that he's, through some scaled back usage, getting healthy, I think it's totally possible that he could have a nice little usable flex role. He's not getting cut, that's for sure. He's a big part of their plans. So, yeah, I like him. I'm probably gonna add another running back to the room here at the end of the draft, and call it a day. But yeah, now that I was able to kind of stack up a bunch of guys late, I don't really feel too bad about this running back room. I've got guys I can start early in Ramondre and Eckler and maybe JCM. And then I've got some upside swings in Ray Davis, Kyle Monangai, also JCM, I suppose. Yeah, I like how it's come together. We'll have to review some of these other teams. I've kind of lost track of the rest of the draft as I've been answering questions. But we'll check in with some other people. Jabulani asks, Brees in Jets all season? Probably mean on. That's my current inclination, that he's just going to be on the Jets. I don't think that they actually have interest in trading him. I think they just want to use him in a smaller role. And honestly, here's the thing. I think the role that they would put him in would work for fantasy if the Jets were the Lions. It's just that the Jets aren't the Lions. Like, they're not going to score as many points as the Lions are. They're not going to run as many plays probably because I don't think they're going to sustain drives as well as the Lions. Like, when we look at Jahmyr Gibbs, he gets half of a backfield, a little more than half of a backfield, and that's fine because it's a super duper efficient offense and it produces a lot of fantasy points for the backfield. I think the Jets are going to produce a lot of backfield points, but I don't think they can quite keep up with the Lions unless Justin Fields is just way, 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 way better than he's been so far in practice. That's the big thing. We are just doing one draft today. We're gonna finish this one up in a second. I'm going to make some remarks about the teams. Anybody that was in the draft can feel free to ask a question if they want. We just got Tom Brady picked here in round 18. This is what I get for adding 18 rounds. We get a Tom Brady pick. Oh, and then we got a Ricky Person pick. Great stuff, everybody. Good job. I'm going to take Taj Brooks as the presumed Chase Brown handcuff, and then I'm going to call it a day here on my team, and then I'll recap mine. Let's let Mr. Ghost King close it out with Mr. Irrelevant. Just realized his picture is Ashton Genty. I guess that's why he took him in this first pick of the second round. He also took my advice and grabbed Christian Kirk, which is probably a good idea because he did not have a lot of wide receivers. All right. Nicholas Chubb is our last pick of the day here. Let me go ahead and recap my team. I started with a fantastic value, in my opinion, in Brock Bowers at the 111. This is tight end premium. Puka Nacua. We had the third round reversal, so I got Justin Herbert early in round 3, followed by Kyler Murray, then Christian McCaffrey, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Jackson Dart as my third quarterback, Tucker Kraft, Michael Pittman, Bill Krosky Merritt at the 1102. Maybe a little bit rich, but we're having fun out here. Rashid Shaheed, my auto pick. Looking back on it, I might have just taken Besh there. I still took Besh at 13-2. But yeah, I mean, nothing really sticks out. Like, I have him ranked next to like Fannin and Cup and Braylon. He's in that range. Ramondre, Davis, Monangai, Eckler, Brooks to close out the draft with a lot of running backs because I'm pretty set at wide receiver. And guys, this is pretty much how I like to build teams. I'd prefer to just have 6 or 7 legitimately decent wide receivers and then load up the bench with running backs. Like that is how I want to build teams. So unlike other days where I feel like the draft gets away from me, I do actually like how this one has turned out for me. You guys can let me know if you think my team's any good or not, but I'm enjoying it. Aaron, welcome to the members chat. Welcome to Potential Superstars. If you're not in the Discord already, you check out the link in the description. You can get in the Discord for free, and anybody can get in the Discord for free. But once you're in there, Aaron, you can find directions on how to sync up to the member channels, and that's going to get you to the live streams. It's going to get you to the rankings and everything like that. Checking out some of these other teams here. Out of the one hole, Josh Allen, JSN, a little higher than I'd like to take JSN personally, but there are certainly worse picks. Henderson, Rice, Cook, Jacobs, going kind of running back heavy early. Then we get Judy, Moore, Keon, Darnold, Mixon, Debo. I mean, pretty balanced. You go with 2 late quarterbacks to pair with Allen, kind of punt tight end, but I don't mind that combination with Strange and Ertz. Probably not a far enough fall for Joe Mixon. I'm just very spooked on Mixon coming back and being like anything useful this year, and he doesn't have a lot of value insulation beyond that. So he's kind of a stay away for me. Probably would have taken Dylan Sampson, would have taken Jordan Mason over him, I think. But I get trying to take the values when you can. Kind of like what Big Dog Berg is building here. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Bucky, McCarthy, Ward. It's just such a great spot to get your 2 quarterbacks. Golden, Adams, Kamara, Andrews, Kyle Williams, Trey Benson, Brian Robinson, Pat Bryant, Isaac Tesla, Goddard, Theo Johnson, Najee Harris, Ricky Person. Yeah, I mean, you go pretty young, pretty high value picks through 6. You can justify taking a swing on Adams and Kamara, hoping you get one more elite season from those players. I still think that Adams was a bit of a reach there. I just really struggle with the idea of taking him over Flowers, Penix, Pearsall, whatever. But yeah, I don't mind that team at all. I loved this start. Neighbors, Thomas, Nix, Purdy, Taylor. I think that through 5, I think that's really strong. Lose me a bit with the Caleb Johnson pick over Pickens, over Olave, over Flowers. I think that's a little bit rich. Definitely like the Waddle pick as well. So big fan of how you started this draft. And then I can't really take much issue with as it goes down. Like Scadaboo is a fine pick where he goes. Trey Harris is a fine pick. Ridley, probably a pretty strong pick, to be honest. I need to move him up maybe. He's been so clearly the focal point of the passing game. You know, we'll see with Godwin. Could turn out well for you. I think it could also turn out really poorly for you. It's a bit of a high-risk pick. Spears, Ferguson, nothing bad to say here. I think Leggett and Hollywood are kind of wasted picks personally, especially with the wide receiver room. You already have 6 guys here. I just don't really see. I think Leggett's kind of dead personally. I think Coker's just straight up going to take his job. Comments from Dave Canales have kind of indicated like they're fine to just play the better players. And I think the only thing that Leggett could fall back on was the draft capital. If the team doesn't care about the draft capital, it's just so obvious that he's not a starting caliber player. So I think he's kind of a waste of a pick. And then Hollywood is like whatever. Like Hollywood's more of an early, more like an early to mid-season play than he is a late season play. And it's like you don't need him because you're not gonna be starting him over these guys. So I probably would have just gone for more of an upside pick. But these are, I mean, that's a nitpick. Like you can totally whiff on your 16, 17 rounders and be fine. Out of the 5 hole, I loved this start of this draft. Jefferson, McBride, McMillan, Igbuka, Prescott, Walker, Pearsall, Downs, Geno, Pollard. Is this a member? This team is crazy good. That sounded really arrogant. I didn't mean it to come across that way. It just looks like how I would draft a team based off my rankings for the most part. But yeah, I actually love this. This might be my favorite team. actually. Other than the fact that it's a little bit, I mean, it's thin at quarterback. Dak, Geno, I think are both good values, but then no third quarterback until Shadur. I might have taken a swing on a Jalen Milroe earlier, or maybe even a Sam Darnold. No, you didn't have a chance at Darnold. I don't know. I like this team though. I do. Walker as your RB1 in round 6 is pretty sweet. And then Pollard and Warren, like this is a nice little discount running back room, and I think he's going to get more touches than people think. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one for sure. Probably the all contrarian team would be Logan here, as far as like who's drafting the team that is least likely to be a team that I would draft would be this one. It's not to say I have all the answers or that I'm right, but just going down the board, probably taking guys that I would have passed on. Nailed the first pick in my opinion, but then I struggle with Marv in the second round. I think I'd rather have Hampton. I'd rather have Herbert. I'd rather have Caleb. I'd rather have McMillan, and then Garrett Wilson 311. I'd rather have Henderson. I'd rather have Stroud. Probably some of the other quarterbacks. Laporta 402 I think is kind of crazy. Personally, like I just don't get it. I just don't get the Laporta thing. I really don't understand the Sam Laporta stuff. I just don't see any reasonable path to him paying off that price. He'd have to catch like 15 touchdowns or something. Love the Chase Brown pick. Henry pick is kind of a similar idea to the McCaffrey pick that I made, which is just like take a shot on some points. But man, it's really hard to do over Colson Loveland and Kenneth Walker and RJ Harvey. That's tough. Followers of the channel know I'm not big on Metcalf. Although I will say this, 7-11, what is that overall? That's like 83rd overall. That's actually good. I think that's actually good value on Metcalf from where I have him ranked. So just to not be a total hater, I think that's actually a good pick. I think Reed was a good pick. I think Kyle Pitts is a total nothing. And I like the Giddens pick. So, we can find some common ground. And I think Pat Freiermuth too. Left for dead, but maybe still the lead tight end for the Steelers, possibly. All right. So here's what Drippy says. He'd have to catch 15 touchdowns to be worth that. He had like 10 his rookie year and was tight end 1. Yeah, I mean, my argument, and look, I can check the stats here. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Let me pull it up. The point, Sam Laporta had a very good rookie season for a tight end. But there's two issues. One is, while it was a really good season, unless I'm remembering wrong, I don't think it was like groundbreaking. Like, let me just check here. So Bauer scored 18.7 tight end premium points per game last year. McBride was also at 18.7. If we look at the 2023 season, Sam Laporta, sorry, it's taking a minute to load here. Sam Laporta scored 16.6. Okay, so in his rookie year, still 2 points per game behind the impact of a McBride and of a Bowers. And the issue is that was before Jamison Williams was really like a thing at all. So if we look at the Lions now, I guess if you're just saying Jamison Williams is actually not good and he was a product of Ben Johnson and now he's going to fall to a distant third in the target tree, and now Laporta is going to become the clear second best target behind Amon-Ra, I guess you'd have a case. But I think that's unlikely. Like, I think we should expect Jamison Williams to earn this about the same or maybe more targets than Sam Laporta this year. And if that's the case, then it's just not possible for him to put up the type of volume that he would need. But I've ignored Massive Matt for far too long. Dude, you are an absolute legend here with the $9.99 donation. I am absolutely going to, let me give you the best answer I can here. In a 2-2-1 4 flex league. Okay. Is it worth taking Jaden Daniels in the second? I'm the 9 pick and a 10 man to be early. Okay. I'm really struggling with what this means. So Matt, you're going to have to help me out here, or the chat's going to have to help me out. What is a 2-2-1 4 flex league? Is it two? It can't be 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. I don't know what I'm looking at here. If it's super flex, then I would certainly be willing to take Jaden Daniels there. If it's not super flex, I think that's too early. You're talking about the 9, 10, 11, 12, the 12th pick, the 12th overall pick in a 1 quarterback startup. I would not be taking Jaden Daniels. I don't think any quarterback is worth that value. If I'm looking at a 1 quarterback draft, Chase, Jefferson, Neighbors, Lamb, Puka, Brian Thomas. I think every wide receiver up through Ladd here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least those 10. Plus Bowers and McBride. Plus Bijan, Gibbs, and Genty. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15. At the very least, those 15 players need to be off the board before anybody's looking at a quarterback. And I'm probably going to keep going after that before I go to quarterback in a league this shallow. That's 1 quarterback. I'd look at Hampton. I'd look at Bucky, Henderson, Achane, McMillan, Hunter, AJ Brown. I don't think I'm looking at quarterbacks until the 3rd round at the absolute earliest. So for you, 9 pick and the 202 pick, I think you can be confident that Jefferson and Chase and Neighbors and Lamb are all going to be gone. I think Puka, Brian Thomas are absolute smash picks. I think Bijan and Gibbs would be smash picks for sure. And then coming back in the 2nd round, I think Nico, I think London are very good picks. I think I'm guessing there's no premium here. So I do think Bowers is a worthwhile pick as well at 202. I would view Bowers in a non-tight end premium format pretty similarly to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think they operate in a similar role. I think they can command similar volume. I don't view Brock Bowers like strictly as a tight end. I view him as I think he's more of like an F wide receiver who sometimes plays in line, but I wouldn't limit him to just the way you talk about a tight end. So I think he's somewhere in that Amon-Ra zone in a non-tight end premium format, and that would put him in play for 202 as well. So Matt, hopefully that helps a little bit. You did say 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 4 flex. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just a little bit lost there. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Those are the guys I'd be looking at. I wouldn't look at quarterback. Look, if you get back in round 3 and any of Allen or Lamar or Daniels are there, even Jalen Hurts, I think that's fine. But I also think in a 1 quarterback, especially one this shallow where like there's always going to be quarterbacks available, I think you can wait a little bit longer and swing on some guys with upside like Drake May, Caleb Williams, even take a Justin Fields super late, because it doesn't really matter if he goes to 0 because it's going to be so easy to find replacement quarterbacks. If you just swing on a Justin Fields, maybe, if you want for some safety, you can pair him with like a Baker or like a Goff, somebody that should be pretty cheap. But yeah, take a chance on Fields, who could maybe put up top 5 production at a really, really low cost. And then you can just figure out other quarterback options if and when that falls through. But yeah, we'll end the stream on that, guys. Good draft. I enjoyed it. It was enlightening. N4, welcome to the ranks of the members. This has been a great stream, guys. We got some new members that I get to go and interact with. We've had some super chats. We've had some great picks. Thank you guys for coming out, participating. One more time, if you're watching the stream and you're not subscribed, go ahead and fix that if you don't mind, because I will be back soon with another Dynasty video. We're going to do some risers and fallers, get you up to date on everything you might have missed this offseason, especially this preseason time. And we got to get locked in because we are 2 weeks out from the very first football game of the 2025 season, the first real football game. So, all right. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great weekend. I don't know exactly when I'll be back. If you're a member, I will talk to you guys tomorrow on the member stream. And who knows what we'll talk about? I don't know. I'll collect some questions. We'll do something fun. The rest of you guys, take care. I'll talk to you soon.